live now.
Okay,
Splitting.
all right. So welcome everybody to our regular public council meeting for Monday, April 13th, 2020. It's a little different format than we're used to. I guess for the last year, we've been live streaming our meetings over YouTube and through our iCompass software with the town. In light of COVID-19 and our self-distancing and following the rules set out by government and by the town, we are live streaming tonight a Zoom meeting where everybody is at home and we're still doing our business of the town. And a couple of just housekeeping things that I'll mention is so if there's any issues viewing the meeting, you can go to the town's YouTube page. Residents and the public will have an option to ask questions or make comments after the council meeting by emailing dchaplain@torbay.ca. So this could be for the Q&A session as well. So if you want to ask a question in the Q&A at the end of the council meeting, you can send a email to Dawn and she will forward them on and we'll try and answer them tonight, or otherwise we'll post the answers on our town website. We just felt it was important to allow the public to ask questions. It's something that we've been doing for a while now, and we didn't want to change that much of how we're conducting our business. So as always, council staff are available for residents and the public. So feel free to call the town office or email questions or concerns, and the town's website, torbay.ca, for contact information. So with that, our agenda for tonight, I will accept any new business from members of council. Let's start with Councillor Glenn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to add a thanks at the end of the meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Pollard.
I'll pass, Your Worship.
Pass. Councillor Thorngoss.
Thank you.
Councillor Roach. Hang on. Can you unmute Councillor Roach, please? Hang on. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Peggy.
Okay, gathering.
Okay.
Because it's supposed to be done, it is.
Okay. Councillor Martin.
Thank you. Did you hear me? Okay.
Do you have anything to add to the agenda? She can't hear me?
Are you addressing me, Craig?
Yes, do you have anything to add to the agenda?
Okay, I didn't hear anything past Justin speaking. Thank you, please.
All right.
Thanks.
And I have a thanks as well. So we didn't receive any questions from the public to this point. Can I have a motion to adopt, please?
So moved.
Motion by Councillor Glant, seconded by Councillor Martin. All in favor? Aye. Hands, show of hands.
Aye.
Councillor Roach? Okay. Opposed? None. Thank you. So we have a set of minutes there for a public council meeting dated March 9th, 2020. Could I get a motion to adopt those, please?
So moved.
Councillor Pollard, seconded by Councillor Martin. Just use your hands, guys. I don't want everybody turning back on the volume. Any errors or omissions? No, seeing none. All in favor? Aye. Councillor Roach? Show of hands for voting, please. All right. Thank you. Opposed? None. We have 3 proclamations here, one for Miles and Smiles Foundation, April 2020, Child Abuse Prevention Month. Would someone like to do that one? Councillor Pollard, do you want to do that?
Will do, Your Worship. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Whereas children are the foundation for a prosperous and innovative society, and the foundation for a child's growth and development is established when the community takes responsibility for creating healthy environments where our children can thrive. Whereas all children deserve to have a safe, stable, nurturing home and community to foster their healthy growth and development. Whereas child abuse and neglect is an important societal concern that may affect the long-term health and well-being of not only children, but also the adults they become. Whereas child abuse and neglect impacts our entire society and our society's future. Whereas child abuse prevention is a shared responsibility, and finding solutions requires the involvement and collaboration of citizens, organizations, and government entities. Whereas this month, we emphasize the importance of understanding the devastating problem of child abuse and neglect, and commit to learn more about the behavioral and physical signs of possible abuse.
Therefore, I, Craig Scott, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2020 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in the town of Torbay, and I further call upon communities and individuals, citizens, to participate in efforts to strengthen families, protect children, and prevent child abuse and neglect. So moved.
Second.
Okay, so Councillor Roach, second. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Carried. Thank you. There's a proclamation here for Walk for Values 2020, Human Values Day Proclamation 2020. Would you like to do that one, Councillor Martin?
Sure. Okay. Just one moment, please. Good evening, everyone. Human Values Day, April 24th, 2020. Whereas raising and increasing awareness of positive human values is a primary goal of the town of Torbay, and encourage citizens to resolve to make our community richer by pledging the below values: truth, honesty, integrity, optimism, and excellence, right conduct, courtesy, gratitude, fair play, perseverance, determination, responsibility, sacrifice, initiative, leadership, courage, duty, and ethics, peace, contentment, discipline, humility, patience, satisfaction, self-control, self-confidence, self-respect, understanding, modesty, love, caring, compassion, reverence, forgiveness, generosity, kindness, enthusiasm, tolerance, dedication, devotion, and unity, nonviolence, gentleness, consideration, moderation, cooperation, brotherhood, equality, and cultural respect. Whereas Human Value Day is a mean to give members of the community a clearer understanding of the importance of a value-based life, to raise awareness of the importance of practicing positive values, and to eradicate violence, bullying, drugs, crime, disrespect, and greed in our society. Whereas the Walk for Values is a walk designated to raise awareness of human values and to promote individual and collective responsibility for the progress of humanity, one step at a time. And
now, therefore, on behalf of the Torbay Town Council, I, Mayor Craig Scott, do hereby proclaim April 24th, 2020 as Human Values Day in the town of Torbay. So moved.
second.
Over to seconder. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Carried. Thank you. And there's another one there for Earth Day, Team Canada Day Proclamation. Did you want to do that one, Councillor Glant?
Okay, I'm unmuted now here now.
Okay.
Yeah, trying to read this. Okay. Proclamation. Whereas Earth Day is celebrated annually to celebrate the beauty of our planet, recommit to actions to promote a healthy environment and to maintain a peaceful, just, and sustainable world. And whereas Earth Day was first celebrated in 1970 in the United States and has since grown to be a worldwide day of environmental action. And this year, April 22nd, 2020, is marking the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. And whereas the town of Torbay has partnered with Earth Day Canada and multiple municipalities across the country to meet the goals of Earth Day. And whereas the town of Torbay commits to raising awareness and trigger positive action to protect our environment, as well as to providing leadership, employ the expertise and talent of our community, and engage the hearts and minds of our citizens. Whereas the town of Torbay and our citizens, organizations, and businesses have shown dedicated leadership on environmental issues by promoting wetland conservation, habitat and coastline protection, waste prevention, and climate change adaptation planning. And whereas the town of Torbay is advocating for and joining in climate mobilization efforts at the local, provincial, national, and global levels. And whereas through a multi-platform campaign, we now invite Torbay citizens to engage, to change their daily habits and take action to benefit the environment. And whereas over the month of April 2020, the town of Torbay will post daily activities via social media on how we can do our part in protecting the environment. We invite our children, youth, residents, and businesses to join in by taking concrete action, both alone, at home, and together, for the benefit of the town we share. And whereas we are keeping our distance at home, but collectively taking action for our community and our planet.
Now therefore, on behalf of the Council of the Town of Torbay and on behalf of the citizens of Torbay, I hereby proclaim April 22nd, 2020 as Earth Day. So moved.
Second.
We're seconder, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you. All right, no presentations. No first Q&A. Mayor's report. I just got a quick report that I'm going to give. It's mostly focused around COVID-19 and just talks about the fact that I've been participating in regional meetings with the mayors of our urban municipalities in the region. That would include St. John's, Mount Pearl, Paradise, CBS, and Portrait Cove, St. Phillips, and us. And we've been having semi-weekly meetings, I guess, to talk about our approach and decisions that we're taking. So we're all kind of on the same page. And in that same, I guess, vision of cooperation, we also have another group of meetings that we have with our Killie Coast mayors that we discuss issues related to COVID-19 and how we're going forward. And a lot of that has to do with some of the joint cooperative messaging that we've been putting out. Some of these rec cards that we put in the mail, we got all the towns to work together on that, and we have another one that's going to be coming out very shortly. That also a cooperation with our other 5 regional partners. So that's a good thing. I've also been participating in regional meetings with M&L to make sure that we're getting most up-to-date information from all the municipalities across the province. And I guess we've been learning now for the last month or more about how we need to do things differently and stay home and pay attention to the initiatives being put in place by the provincial and federal governments in order to be able to flatten the curve related to COVID-19. And I would say to ask people to please pay attention to the messaging coming out from the town and from the government, and keep doing what you're doing. I think that we're doing a pretty good job, and I just want to thank everybody for doing that, and just let you know that the council, even though we're working from home or we're not at the town hall, that we're still on top of our business and making sure that that we know what's going on in the region and communicating with our residents. So any questions on any of that? Seeing none, we'll move on. Business Horizon report. Is there anything on that you have a question about? No? Okay. We have multiple correspondence here from Department of Municipal Affairs and Environment. One related to fire protection, one about municipal water, sewer, and roads construction specifics coming up, and circular about local service district and fire departments. Municipal Affairs, circle about planning, municipalities and planning consultants, and one status report from the East Coast Trail Association. So we'll forward all those communications, correspondence to the appropriate committees, and then they'll bring back any updated information that we need to know about any of that. Anybody have any questions about any of those correspondence? No? Okay, thank you. Moving on, committees of council. We have 3 sets of committee of the whole minutes. They are all related to meetings that we've had to talk about our procedures and how we're going to move forward with COVID-19. So if we could get some motions and second to for the first one for March 16th, 2020, can I get a motion to adopt that, please? Motion by Councillor Glant, seconder. Councillor Martin.
Second.
Okay, any errors or omissions? It's pretty simple stuff there. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, contradicted, carried. There's a meeting minutes here from March 23rd, 2020. Committee of the whole, discussion of COVID-19. Can I get a motion to adopt those ones, please?
So moved.
Mary, seconded by Deputy Mayor. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, I have another set of minutes for March 31st, 2020. Also, the topic of discussion was COVID-19. Could I get a motion to adopt those ones, please? Councillor Martin, second Deputy Mayor. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Planning, land use and development. Councillor Martin, take it away, buddy.
Thank you. We did have a meeting on March 12th in the boardroom. We discussed under amendment and developments in Article 1. We discussed an amendment proposal from property owner in South Pond area to have a land rezoned from watershed to residential large lot. And there is a brief description there with some further in-depth details. And next, we talked about an amendment proposal from a property owner at the end of Bernice Drive to amend the rear of the property from rural to residential large lot, and there is more in-depth details there for review. Moving on to C, we had a proposal from a property at 115 Quigley's Lane to construct an accessory building partially within the conservation land use zone of a small drainage ditch. And we reviewed the proposal, and the committee does not support the shed being as currently proposed. It's currently located in a conservation zone. So the committee is contacting the applicant in the process of doing so and advising the same and requesting the site plan be revised and resubmitted to meet the town's requirements. Moving on to D, we had a proposal from a property owner at 42 Flemings Hill to construct a chicken coop to hold no more than 6 live chickens. There was a letter that came back with regards to that, so committee went back with some recommendations to the resident about where the chickens could go on the property, so it's not adjacent to the neighbors. We also had a proposal from a property owner at 41 Bowling Line to develop a single-family dwelling with deficient frontage. We did review that, and it does not meet regulations. The rear property is located in the RSA land use zone, and the minimum frontage for a single dwelling with on-site service of an existing road is 30 meters. We did review a document from 1974, and committee notes that there is a potential to meet the minimum required frontage, and we do not support the development on this property as proposed. And the application is referenced in the building application report, application C 2020001. Correspondence. Moving on to number 2A. March 8th, we had an email by our Torvay Environment Advisory Committee regarding the Torvay Environment Advisory Committee terms of reference. The items are deferred to the next CLUD meeting, and committee was recommending the chair of the same due to a lengthy agenda at that meeting. And moving on
Excuse me,
to
Mayor.
our,
There is a motion in that, those minutes.
oh yes, sorry, so there is, I see, it was just back up under number 1. Sorry, my apologies. Moderator, if you could please move up to the beginning of line B. I'll read right down through that. If you could go up until a little tiny bit. Sorry. So back to that, an amendment proposal from property. Moderator, if you could please go up 1 notch. Thank you. Amendment proposal from property owner at the end of Furnish Drive to amend the rear of the property from rural to residential large lot. The committee reviewed the amended proposal. The committee, a water study, is currently underway for the area. In accordance with the St. John's Urban Regional Plan, the front of the property is located in the urban development designation. The rear of the property is located in the rural designation. And to be able to accommodate the development, a regional plan, such as mapping amendment to urban development, is required. In accordance with the Torvay Municipal Plan 2015 to 2025, the front of the property is located in the residential designation. The rear of the subject property is located in the rural designation. To be able to accommodate this proposal, a municipal plan mapping amendment to the residential designation is required. In accordance with the Torvay Development Regulations 2015 to 2025, the front of the property is located in the residential large lot use zone. The rear of the property is located in the rear use zone. To be able to accommodate the development, the committee supports tabling a motion at the next public council meeting to proceed with a proposed amendment subject to the application and processing costs being submitted by the applicant. And the motion is as follows. Motion to support proceeding with a mapping amendment to rezone the rear portion of the subject property located at the northeast end of Furnish Drive from the rural land use zone to residential large lot land use zone to be able to accommodate a residential subdivision development application number 015. Processing costs are required to be submitted by the applicant prior to proceeding with the amendment. The amendment process will require an associated regional plan and municipal plan amendment. So moved.
Second. Second.
Any questions or comments? If not, we'll call the question. Oh, the mayor has a question. I can't hear you, Mayor. You're muted. You're muted.
Sorry, I have myself muted. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Just a quick point of order, guys. I'm watching when people vote, and I'm not seeing everybody's hand raised when the vote happens. We need to make sure that everyone votes so we can record it.
Good point. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to
So,
our.
we get everyone. Did everyone vote on that time?
Yes,
Like,
yeah,
what's one, so you got everything recorded?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Mayor, do we have a full vote or did you need to recall that question?
Let's just do the vote over. All in favor, show of hands, please.
All right.
Councillor Roach? Councillor Roach? Show of hands, please, to vote. She's muted. Can you unmute her, please?
Where does it go? Is there a camera in there somewhere?
Peggy, I can see you. You just need to hold your hand
You're
up.
live. She's live.
Okay, thank you very much. I did
Thank
not
you.
know.
No, when we're going to vote, put your hand up like this.
Okay.
All right,
Back to-
thank you. All right.
okay.
So do we get
Okay,
to
are we
vote for
ready to
that one,
move on?
Ann?
I have all in favor unless
Okay, good.
anybody
Is
objected.
anybody opposed? No, nobody's opposed, so we'll say yes, everybody's in favor. Thank you.
Okay. We had another Planning, Land Use and Development Committee meeting and a brief overview of the minutes. This meeting was an April 8th, 2020 meeting, and it was a Zoom meeting, a virtual conference call. Myself was in attendance as chair, and Councillor Thorne Goss was in attendance as the other committee member, as well as Director Shorts, and Mayor Scott and CAO Chatham were also in attendance as observers. We have some proposals. Application number C2020-012, proposed single-family dwelling, 32 meter building, line setback 65 Marine Drive. The background and moderator, can you please confirm if there's a motion in this article? I don't believe there is. No, there's not. Oh, yes, sorry, there is. There is. Okay. All right. Okay, thank you. Okay, if we could go back to the beginning of the report, please. Thank you. Okay, application number C2020-012, proposed single-family dwelling, 32 meter building line setback. That's located at 65 Marine Drive. The background, the town of Torbay is in receipt of an application processing to construct a new single-family dwelling with a 65 Marine Drive with a 32 meter line setback. The application form, draft site plan and floor plans are attached for reference. Application process and development history. The subject property is located on the coastal side at 65 Marine Drive, just west of Hearn Place. An approval in principle letter was issued to a previous property owner in 2018. The proposal at the time required a 10 to 12 meter building line setback. The property ownership has since changed. In addition, the present proposal illustrates a proposed building line setback of 32 meters. The property is currently undeveloped and covered by what can be defined as coastal meadowland. The Torbay Development Regulation 2015-02025. The front of the subject property is located in the residential medium density land use zone. The rear of the subject property is located in the conservation land use zone. No development or grading work shall occur in the conservation land use zone. Planning considerations are the property at 65 Marine Drive is subject to a significant grading differential. North of the Marine Drive Road, right of way with guardrail, the terrain immediately slopes off towards the coast. The adjacent home to the west is built at street grade. The adjacent home to the east is built at a significantly lower grade facing on Hearn Place. Mainly the roof can be seen from Marine Drive. Town of Torbay policy for finished floor elevations is to be at 0.5 meters above street level. However, this would result in the home towering over the home on Hearn Place. In addition, it is uncertain how grading and storm runoff would be managed, particularly as it relates to the neighboring properties and coastal lands. And the recommendation is that the committee recommends that the proponent have a grading and drainage plan prepared, stamped, and signed by a professional engineer prior to review before making a recommendation on the proposal. My apologies, I thought there was a motion involved in that one. The next one is application number C2020-016, a proposed demolition of existing and rebuilding new shed, proposed continuation of non-conforming use, and that was at 269 Balling Line. Background is enclosed there, as well as the application process and development history, as well as some aerial photographs there. There's also some municipal plan and development regulation references and planning considerations. And as of right now, the committee directed the department staff to collect additional background information on this proposal for further information by the committee prior to making a recommendation on this application. And another one, and moving on to some correspondence, a referral by the town of Logie Bay Middle Cove Outer Cove was there pertaining to a proposed amendment within their jurisdiction. This is a motion, so I will read this one in its entirety. The town of Torbay, the town of Torbay is in receipt of a referral by the town of Logie Bay Middle Cove Outer Cove pertaining to a proposed amendment within their jurisdiction that involves a regional plan amendment, St. John's Urban Regional Plan Amendment number 2, 2019. Hence, a referral to all municipalities within the region was forwarded for commentary. The proposed amendments relates to a proposed mapping amendment redesignating an area commonly known as Stacks Point from the urban development designation to restrict it to protect the area as a significant scenic open space and vista along Marine Drive, which is a designated scenic route. And the recommendation from the committee is that the committee has no objection to the proposed regional plan amendment as is fully located within the jurisdiction of the town of Torbay Middle Cove, of town of Logie Bay Middle Cove Outer Cove, and bears no policy implications for the town of Torbay. And the motion reads as follows: motion to confirm that the town of Torbay has received the referral from the town of Logie Bay Middle Cove Outer Cove dated March 17, 2020, and confirms that the town of Torbay has no objection to proposed St. John's Urban Regional Plan Amendment number 2, 2019, as the area proposed to be redesignated is fully located within the jurisdiction of the town of Logie Bay Middle Cove Outer Cove and bears no policy implications for the town of Torbay. So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
Got a mover, seconder, questions? No, all in favor, show of hands, please.
Aye.
Aye. Councillor Roach? Okay, I got you. Councillor Thorngas? All right. Opposed? See none? Approved. Thank you. Carry on.
Thank you. And on March 8th and 25th, 2020, we did have some emails that were received from the Torbay Environment Advisory Committee regarding their terms of reference review. There is a background presented, and right now our recommendation is that the committee recommends that a separate committee meeting be scheduled by staff to discuss items in detail and then report back to the TEAC. In the interest of time, at our last meeting, we did decide to defer this to its own meeting so we could give it the attention it needed. And other than that, the following three items were tabled for the information of the committee only, which was a COVID-19 opened closed brochure, a Earth Day, April 22nd for information leaflet, and flood report format, future layouts and processes.
All right, thank you.
Okay, and we also had, your worship, enclosed is a protective services activities report from our municipal enforcement commissioners, and that's there for informational purposes. And moving on to applications approved. The document is dated for April 9, 2020 to all council for their consideration from Planning and Development Department. Applications approved from March 6, 2020 to April 9, 2020. Following applications were approved subject to the normal conditions and requirements for building within the town of Torbay. Permits will be issued once all of the town of Torbay's conditions requirements have been met. Application C2020-013, located at 2 Maurice Lane. Proposal was for general repairs. And that ends that report. Moving on to building applications. This document is dated April 9th, 2020, and there are some motions enclosed. All council for consideration, planning and development. Building applications to be considered at tonight's meeting. Applications for approval. Application number C2020-005. The location is 42 Flemings Hill. The proposal is a 1.2 meter by 1.8 meter 4x6 chicken coop and fenced area to be occupied by a maximum of 6 chickens. The zoning is residential medium density. This was the file that I referenced earlier in my report. Moderator, if you could please move up a notch. Other way. Other way. Up. Thank you. And the issue, the applicant is requesting to construct a chicken coop to be occupied by up to 6 chickens at 42 Flemings Hill. The subject property is located within the residential medium density RMD land use zone. As per Development Regulations number 5 to 2018, agricultural uses such as the keeping of chickens for personal use may be permitted on lots with a minimum of 1,860 square meters at the discretion of council. The number of chickens shall be limited to 6. Notice of the application was distributed to 11 neighboring properties, and the 3 responses were received in relation to the application. The application was processed in accordance with regulations number 33 and 90. The application was discussed at the Planning and Land Use Development Committee meeting on March 12, 2020, item 1D. Recommendation: committee recommends that the application be approved subject to the following conditions. All normal conditions and requirements for building within the town of Torbay. The property will be subject to property taxes in accordance with the published schedule of taxes and fees in the town of Torbay. A revised site plan shall be submitted relocating the chicken coop and associated fenced area more centralized in the rear yard away from neighboring property boundaries. The keeping of chickens shall be limited to personal use. The number of chickens shall be limited to 6 and shall be no roosters. The applicant property owner shall implement appropriate rodent and pest control practices. A manure management plan, also known as an MMP, shall be provided and approved by the town prior to the release of a permit. And the property shall be kept in accordance with the town's property standards and maintenance regulations. So moved.
Second.
Any
Over a
questions?
second, I have a question first before we vote on this, because I just realized this is next door to my father-in-law's house. So am I in a conflict on this?
Bear with me for a second, Mayor.
All right. I just want to make sure before I vote on it. I mean, there's no monetary gain to me on this one, but it is right next door to where my wife's dad lives.
Does outline in legislation the family relationship, so I'm just confirming that right now.
Okay.
Father-in-law, mother-in-law is indicated.
Okay, so I'm going to have to be in conflict on this. Can I get a vote of council, please?
Motion to
To excuse myself for the vote.
yes, a motion to excuse Mayor Scott from this vote as he's in a potential conflict in this application number.
So Before I do that, I'm going to hand over the chair to Deputy Mayor to deal with it. Okay?
Right. Yep. Thank you, Mayor Scott. Can I get a motion, please, to excuse Mayor Scott from this vote, please? Thank you, Councillor.
Okay, I'll hereby give a motion to temporarily disable and mute the mayor from voting on application number. Moderator, if you could please move up the screen.
You could exit the screen, Mayor.
Oh,
Thank you.
so moved.
Do I have a seconder for the motion, please, Mayor?
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Thorngoss. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Don, I can't see everyone's hands. Can you?
Councillor Martin, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Thorngoss, Councillor Pollard, and Councillor Glenn. Councillor Roach, can we see your hand, please? Do you want to raise your hand?
Right in front of your picture right here.
Place it by the left of your chin, their left chin, Peggy.
Can
Left
you
side of
raise
your
your-
chin.
Over there.
Oh, bit more over.
There you
Yep,
go.
There we
you got
go.
it, right there.
Okay, well, so the little thingy must be over there. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Peggy. Okay, so can we get back to we'll go back to the motion now that Councillor Martin had just put forward, please.
Deputy Mayor, just for the interest of council, if the moderator could move up. We're currently on the wrong application there on the screen. There we are. Thank you. This is the one. Thank you.
Okay, so it's been moved, it's been second. Are there any comments or questions on this application? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, contraminded? I can't see. There's no contraminded, Don?
None. No.
Thank you. All right, this is passed. Thank you. Can we advise the mayor that we need him to come back? Should we text him?
Do we need a motion for him to come back? No.
Okay, I'm back.
Mayor's back.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, and I'll hand the chair back to you.
Thank you for dealing with that for me.
Happy to do it, my friend.
Okay, moving on. Carry on, Councillor Martin.
Thank you. And moderator, if we could move down to applications for refusal, thanks. Application number C2020-001, location at 481 Barling Line. The proposal was a single-family dwelling. The zoning is a residential infill, residential subdivision area. The issue is the applicant is requesting to construct a single-family dwelling at 481 Barling Line. The front of the property is located in the residential infill land use zone. At the rear of the property is located in the residential subdivision area land use zone. The subject property is deficient in the minimum frontage development standard in the residential infill land use zone. The application was discussed at the Planning and Land Use Development Committee meeting on March 12th. Please see item 1E. And the minimum frontage requirements for a single dwelling with on-site services on an existing road in the residential infill land use zone is 30 meters, which is 98.43 feet. The survey provided for the subject property dated June 1974 illustrates a frontage of 22.8 meters, which is 75 feet. The subject property is deficient in the minimum required frontage development standard of 30 meters. The neighboring property to the north is also undeveloped and deficient in the minimum frontage development standard. There is potential to meet the minimum required frontage development standards through consolidation, and the recommendation brought forward by committee is that the committee recommends the application be refused for the following reasons. Number one, the subject property is deficient in the minimum required frontage development standard of 30 meters. There is potential to meet the minimum required frontage development through consolidation with the neighboring property, to the north, which is also undeveloped and deficient in the minimum frontage development standard. And that be my motion, so moved.
Second.
Mover, seconder. Any questions? I have a question. Councillor Roach has a question. Hang on, Councillor Roach, we'll get you turned on there. Councillor Roach, go ahead.
Okay, can a variance apply in that aspect there?
I was going to ask the same question. I think it's 10% maximum that you can have any variance. But I'm not sure. I refer that back to.
Yeah, thank you. Director Shorts, just if you could elaborate on that. I just seen you shaking your head. So if you could proceed and elaborate on the inquiries, please.
Yes, so thank you. The variance, as indicated, variance requirements permit a maximum of 10% variance of the standard, which in the case of this particular property would be 3 meters, like 10% of 30 meters. However, that would be 27 meters. However, the frontage is approximately the 22.86 meters. So while frontage really is measured at the building line and there was no submitted plot plan for this proposal, the property is deficient in about 7 meters. So the variance requirement or variance provision could not apply in this particular situation.
Okay.
It's
Okay,
much
thank
more
you.
deficient. Mm.
Thank you. Any other questions? No. Okay. Call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Carried.
Thank you. And I believe that ends my report. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Quite a bit of material there, but we got through it.
Admin and Finance. Councillor Pollard. Take it away.
Second, Your Worship, I had a question on the report for Councillor Martin.
Go ahead.
The single-family dwelling on 32 Marine Drive, I noticed that it was sent back to ask the person to get an engineering of a drainage plan, etc. Does that mean that all the other conditions are met? I wouldn't want to see someone go out and spend money for engineering drawings and a grading plan, which, you know, potentially significant dollars given the other information that was provided in terms, you know, that not being road grade and towering over the other place on Hearn Place, whatever it is. I just want to make sure that we wouldn't send a person off and ask them to spend money and come back and have it rejected anyway. I would think that it would be ready for approval subject to the grading plan. I just get some clarification on that, please.
Okay. If I could yield that question to Director Shorts, please. I don't have the materials in front of me there for that particular application.
So if I may speak to that, the particular proposal is very unique in light of the grading differential and the way grading will be affected, as well as the drainage. So the previous approval that was issued had a setback of 10 meters, which would be much closer to the road. And this particular one had a setback of 32 meters, which brings it fairly close to the conservation zone boundary. So grading is quite critical to ensure that there's no grading that occurs within the conservation zone, and also that there's a good balance found between basically how the grading is going to be done, with one property being also much higher and the other one so much lower. So the committee felt, and department staff felt, that it was critical to get that information to be able to make a decision on it, because if council makes a decision on it that may be detrimental to either of the neighboring property owners, that would be a concern from the town of Torbay's perspective. So that's where the decision was made. So yes, there will be a cost that will need to be incurred up front for this engineering plan.
Thank you. Can I assume from that the grading plan is what will be keeping this particular application from being approved?
So really, once we get basically a proposed solution as to where the building would be sited on the lot while meeting grading and drainage requirements, that would be this is the main question for this particular property. Yes. Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Councillor
Thank
Glenn?
you.
Councillor Glenn?
Yes, Mayor Scott, just kind of to respond a little bit to Councillor Pollard's concerns. At least from my perspective, of course, I guess the grading plan is what committee is requiring, I guess, to bring it forward for a vote. But again, this for me, that's not necessarily what would hold up an approval, at least from, for my vote, the approval process at the council meeting. We need to make sure that when this does come towards council, that I think that the impact on the neighbors, particularly in that area, would be just as paramount as anything else. So don't want to give a wrong impression. Even if you go get the grading thing done, there's still other considerations that I think need to be considered by council before we would give a yay or a nay for it. Particularly the impact on neighbors being the prominent one in my mind.
Okay, I have a quick question on that as well. If we were to go back, because council had approved in 2018, and that would be this council, the building permit on a 12-meter setback or 10-meter setback, if this proponent changed to go back to that 12 or 10-meter setback, would that meet the requirements?
I can only speak from a staff perspective now. Like from a staffing perspective, I personally would recommend getting a grading plan because there's substantial grade falling off to the coast. So from council's perspective, I guess I'd recommend that because you do not want, from an aesthetic perspective, have a building really sitting out really close to the coast that's towering over or being more pronounced than other properties. In general, the setback is within the setback. I'd have to double check, but that in general, that range that can be considered, it hasn't been a standard in this particular instance. And the critical thing that usually is met or needs to be met is the sewer. So in terms of setting the building above grade. So there's a number of considerations that play into the design of this particular property that I would caution it beneficial to have this grading plan prepared.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
All right.
And during discussion, when Director Shorts, when we were discussing it, that's what we felt, was the best approach forward, which is why the report is worded the way it is at that point. Thanks.
All right, thank you. All right, Councillor Pollard.
Thank you, Your Worship. Let me know if someone wave a hand in front of me if my voice goes away, because my computer seems to drop my audio sometimes along the way. So if that happens, someone jump and wave or send me a text or something. Anyway, we met, the Municipal Finance Committee meeting met on the 7th of April, myself, Deputy Mayor, CAO Don, and Director of Corporate Service, Jacqueline. We met 8 o'clock in the morning via Zoom. At least we got a chance to have a cup of coffee while we were talking, which was good. At least my coffee of my choice anyway. We discussed the invoices for approval and there'll be a motion coming for that there shortly. Every year around this time, we have to supply our gas tax annual expenditure report, and that requires a motion that is attached, and all that is really is a summary of the dollars we received to date and the spend that we did against the gas tax dollars that we actually received. So we need a motion, and the motion is that the town of Torbay adopt the gas tax agreement annual expenditure report for 2019 as presented. So moved.
Second.
Over to the seconder. Questions, comments? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
The
everybody.
2019, sorry.
Carry on.
2019 audit is currently on the go, and they hope to have that complete sometime May anyway. First part of May, it looks like, but if that comes that, then it'll be great. We still have some time. The state of emergency, there is an application process with the municipal affairs to submit for disaster financial assistance program. We earmarked certain dollars, the damage to the outfall, as well as some snow clearing related additional expenses that we incurred. And we're prepared to submit a disaster financial assistance program motion, and the backup is attached to that. So the motion reads as follows. The town of Torbay submit an application to the Department of Municipal Affairs and Environment in the amount of $249,792.53 under the Newfoundland and Labrador Disaster Financial Assistance Program. This application relates to additional operational costs and damage to the sewer outfall during the state of emergency in January 2020. So moved.
Second.
Mover, seconder.
I
Questions?
just want to say that it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get all those dollars, or any of those dollars. Is just money that we earmarked as being the cost and is subject to audit by the feds, and however that falls out at the end, David, I would expect that we would get a good portion of that money anyway, but time will tell.
All right, thank you. Anybody else have any questions on that? No, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Okay, went on to discuss about the disposal of 2004 loader. There's been some intertown interest in that, and we decided in the day that we would stick to our disposal policy and move forward with that for the disposal of the loader. Tax deferrals, as you know, there was a motion to council, I think in the committee of the whole meetings, to defer taxes until the 30th of June. The full implications of that we have yet to figure out or iron out, but we will over the next period of time. There's 30 requests apparently right now in the hopper for deferral. Property assessment repeal, there is a process in place for the continuation of property assessments, and that'll come back to committee for further discussion. East Coast Trail, East Coast Trail is deferring their trail raiser for 2020. More information will come at a later date. There's sustainability conference in October. I guess it's still on the books as going ahead, and the city will be requesting some type of regional sponsorship for one of the events. So I guess we'll bring something back at a later date too for that, to see how we may want to participate. On the administration side of things, we talked about the respectful workplace policy and prevention plan, and the Jack Byrne Arena, and the I guess the resident members on the board who have now really passed the time that they were due to get replaced or renewed or whatever it is, and I guess due to COVID and the timing of that, we still have to go through that process. We briefly talked about the operations during COVID and how that impacts the town and their human resources, and the snow clearing season has essentially come to an end from the official hiring of extra staff. So anybody who was the seasonal operators have been laid off, and we're back to our modified schedule now.
Okay.
The next part is going to be the motions relating to the invoices and that. So payroll for the period of March 5th to March 18th for 46 employees was $104,620.88. Special payroll on 26th of March paid council remuneration and final wages to the staff laid off to COVID in total amount of $42,419.24. Payroll for the period March 19th to April 1st, 2020 for 34 employees total $86,441.08. Accounts payable, there were 140 invoices processed February 29th to March 18th, totaling $345,990.30, and 67 invoices were processed for the period March 19th to April 3rd, totaling $88,260.63. There are invoices here that require a motion to council, as we do normally, there for the invoices over $5,000. And they are as follows. And they do total $294,274.85. BDO Canada, interim for audit 2019 billing, in the amount of $11,178. CIBC Mellon for pension contributions, February 2020, in the amount of $19,507.18. Commissioners, municipal enforcement, February 9th to the 22nd, the amount of $5,152. Island office for the a new desk and credenza in the Public Works Director's office in the amount of $5,507.70. HR support from Lynn Morrissey in the amount of $6,037.50. Diesel gas from Narrow Marketing, which is North Atlantic, I guess, in the amount of $6,676.76. Newfoundland Power for street lighting and the gateway sign for February, $19,821.13. Receiver General for the remittances February 16th to the 29th, 2020, in the amount of $33,073.97. T2 Ventures for garbage and recycling contract in the amount of $42,771.95. Two payments to Trigo benefits for group benefits for February and March. First one in the amount of $11,014.41, and secondly, the amount of $10,953.91. Workers' comp annual workers assessment in the amount of $47,499.22. Harvey and Company for some replacement parts for the 2008 loader in the amount of $7,802.66. Newfoundland Power group billing for February 2020 in the amount of $20,926.39. Tormont Cat for tire in the amount of $6,900 for the loader. Triware for the warranty for their for the care of our internal devices and computers in the amount of $5,037. Wood Environment and Infrastructure Solutions for engineering service for the parking lot for the building next to the community center in the amount of $13,436.67. Another one, the wood for the design around the demolition of the building. And we had that conversation actually some months ago, really, and this is just payment of that invoice now in the amount of $20,978.40. Commissioners for, and these are the next batch that total, we can do a separate motion. So moved on the first motion, $294,274.85.
Second.
Mover, seconder, questions?
I have one.
Go ahead, Councilor Goss.
How come the last two invoices are so late in the year being paid and they come out of last year, 2019 budget?
Go ahead, Councillor Pollard.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
I was going to say they were forwarded immediately upon receipt, so that's on the engineer's end. It's no delay on our part. So they were forwarded immediately upon receipt, and because they're capital in nature, I'll speak to the director about accruing them back, putting them back under 2019 expenditures.
Okay.
I've got a question when you're ready.
Go ahead.
The Wood Environment and Infrastructure Solutions ending in 679 and 680, the 13,436.67 and 20,978.40. That's for the demolition of the house that was adjacent to the new community center, correct? And the grading. Is
Correct.
that what they're both for?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, thanks. I was just wasn't sure which. I thought that's what it was. Okay, thank you.
The next grouping of invoices from March
Hey,
19th.
hang on.
Sorry.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Carry on.
Commissioners for municipal enforcement, February 23rd to the next to the first part of March, $5,152. Second billing for 2019 audit in the amount of $11,178. I think there's one more and a little bit more to come for that. Newfoundland Power, street lighting and gateway sign in the amount of $20,071.59, and group billing for $20,465.48. Commissionaires, March 8th to the 21st, in the amount of $5,152. And all that totals $62,019.07. So moved.
Second.
Mover, seconder, Councillor Martin. You got a question?
Sorry, I thought we were voting. Sorry, no question.
Oh, okay. No, anybody got a question? No? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And so ends my report, Your Worship.
Excellent. Good job. Economic Development and Tourism, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to ask council to bear with me this afternoon. As fabulous as Zoom meetings are, I have 2 children at home, so we've had a couple interruptions. Hopefully we'll get through this without any more. The Economic Development and Tourism Committee met on March 26th from 6:30 to 7:30 via teleconference. Myself, Councillor Martin, and our Economic Development Officer and Tourism Officer, Deanne Lawrence, joined us. The items that we discussed are all here under economic development. We talked about supports and resources for businesses around COVID-19. That we discussed the perks of registering as a business with the town and trying to revive, repackage, and promote. We know we have businesses in the town that are functioning that are not a part of the registered businesses that we have, and it's important because we can't support them until they're registered and part of, and we want to support them. So we had a discussion around that. We've been looking at a way to go back and have a look at our documentation around economic development. So one of the things that we looked at was the CAS Consultant Advisory Services funding, to see if that would be a possibility to have that looked at. And the idea was to avail of the federal funding to leverage that to do the work. Staff has reached out and been advised right now that there is no update to provide on that. And we actually did have an update in the next set of meeting notes. Let me see what else is here. We had a chat about the History House, and there was a kickoff meeting that happened. Public Works now is, I'm kind of jumping ahead some of the meeting notes to the next one just a little bit, but there was a discussion around the History House, and there was a kickoff meeting that happened with Public Works, and I'll mention that in the second set of meeting minutes. Under tourism, we looked at a session tentatively scheduled for the 28th at the Common. We oh my goodness. We talked about rescheduling that. There's not a whole lot there really more to get into. If anyone has any questions about what's there, I'm happy to answer. If not, I'll just move on to the second set of committee minutes. No one?
Carry on.
Okay, I'll keep going. So the second meeting that we had was on April the 9th, 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. again via Zoom. Myself and Councillor Martin, and also the mayor and CAO joined us for that meeting with our Economic Development Tourism Officer. So we had a conversation about the History House, and like I said, there was a kickoff meeting. Very excited to work with Public Works on this. Public Works is going to oversee the actual brick and mortar work with the project manager to put that together. And the economic development side is going to work with programming and developing and setting up the administration. So it's going to be really amazing to work together on that. I'm looking forward to it. There was a presentation that was provided by our economic and our tourism officer about conversation that she had with staff at Admiralty House in Mount Pearl, and talked about their model and how that works. We followed up. We did hear about the CAS Consultant Advisory Service. We did get feedback from CBDC, and that program is on hold. It is administered through ACOA, So staff had reached out to ACOA to follow up to see if there are other funding sources that we may be able to avail of, to see if we can leverage other monies to look at that. The Torbay Business Network, they do fabulous work, and a big shout out to Tanya and Michelle and all the businesses that are coming together and working together collaboratively as they have been. Deanne participated in the Zoom meeting and gave them information about the town and how we work and what's happening during the pandemic, and some tools that are available to businesses and how we could support them. So that was about it there. We talked about how the town can support small business during COVID. And we talked about shared program updates, which is all there. And I'm just having a look through the rest of this again. There's nothing really, I mean, I don't want to read verbatim what's here under tourism and cultural heritage. Does anyone have any questions? I'm happy to answer any if you do.
No, don't see no questions. Everybody looks happy.
Anyone? All right, well, if you do, feel free to reach out at any point. But in a nutshell, the biggest things that have been on our agenda, really the last couple of meetings, have been supporting the business community and getting things moving for the History House there. And that's about it. Any questions about economic development? Happy to have a chat anytime anybody wants to. And that's it for our report.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Infrastructure, Public Works, Councillor Thorngas. You're on mute. Unmute yourself.
Having a great conversation here with myself.
There you
We
go.
had a meeting on April 8th. Councillor Pollard, the director, Mayor Scott and CAO joined as well by Zoom. It was a Zoom meeting. Ballfield Lights, director gave an update on the project, and so far Eastern have been on site. We're hoping to have that completed. Won't have to worry, I guess, this year to have it have it installed before softball starts. But anyway, tender is hoping to go out in May. Country Drive, Shays Lane, we got some work done on that. Is it possible just to move that into the center a little bit? I'm cut off. There you go. Okay, perfect. Thank you. I have a motion here for Country Drive that the town of Torbay submit a capital investment plan for the addition of the following project to replace culverts at Shays Lane, Cannon Marsh Road, and the intersection of Country Drive, Shays Lane, as per the attached drawings and estimate provided by Progressive Engineering Limited in the amount of $318,585.77 plus HST under 2019-2024 gas tax agreement. So moved.
Move. Seconder.
Second.
Second by Councillor Pollard. Any questions? No? All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Carried.
The warning lights for the fire department is involved in as part of the sidewalks project. Flow meters, a director noted that he and the CAO will be meeting earlier next week to discuss and develop the RFP for this project. History House project, Deputy Mayor just gave an update on what's happening there with regards to the kickoff, and we'll be working together there, making sure everything goes according to plan. Playground equipment, committee discussed the funds that are budgeted and replacement of at least one structure for this year. And they noted that the director, community services, what's that?
Carry on.
Looking at price for the replacement structure at Most Drive Playground. There will CAO noted that there may be some fundings coming for such projects. Other items, spring cleanup, committee agreed that the director would move along We're planning the annual cleanup with some modified procedures to address social distancing. Operational items, director noted that the department is going to be working on potholes and snow clearing damage over the next few weeks while maintaining social distancing. And director also noted that we are now back to our normal operations and are finally out of snow clearing mode, and the seasonal operators have been laid off for the season. So ends my report.
Thank you. Any questions on any of that? Seeing none, thank you. And we'll move on to Recreation and Community Services. Councillor Glenn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just scroll down. Okay. All right, so 1 second here now. Okay, we did have a Recreation Community Services meeting on Tuesday, March 17th. Seems like 1,000 years ago. Items discussed were a rental agreement form for the Recreation Center, and that's basically been circulated around from legal to everybody. There was a meeting with the Kinsmen. It was held on February 11th. Fireworks. One of the actually important things I really wanted to bring up about the fireworks, that we did have, I guess, in the budget, enough money for one set of fireworks. I actually thought we had fireworks for 2 occasions, and basically we'd like to ask the rest of the committee or rest of council is if there's a way we could try to find some money to actually have fireworks, a really good fireworks display this year during, I guess, Canada Day's celebrations, July 1st. Yeah, so I think that'll be a really important thing for the town. We did talk about the Summer Games 2020. Basically, we're in talks with the City of St. John's, and they're basically reviewing requirements. We did talk about resumes. Received a whole bunch of resumes, but due to COVID-19, the Director of Recreation and Community Services is not going to be conducting interviews at this time. We did talk about some new programming that we are going to try to get going during the COVID-19 health emergency that's going on, and yeah, so we're trying to revise some of those things. Committee also asked for an update in reference to COVID-19. Going to basically provide, they provided the committee an overview of what's happening. So it's basically an update with programming and staff. Did talk about the motion playground repairs, and we did actually want to send out a thank you to Dr. Bethany for her years of practice, and that was from Councilor Roach. Okay, and then we did have another community services meeting. Oh, any questions on those sets of minutes?
Can I make a comment? A quick one? I'm extremely excited and thankful to see the meeting with the Kinsmen there. So I just wanted to say thank you to the director and the committee for doing that. It is very important that we recognize the Kinsmen for the Torbay Common, absolutely. And I'm really happy to see that they got to meet and follow up. I know that they're very interested to work with us to put that together. So thank you for that. That's amazing. And the only other comment was around the fireworks. And I do like the idea, Councillor Gallant, of having fireworks, especially considering what's happening right now. I think what we'd have to do is have a discussion about how to do that socially distancing in a way so that people don't all get in one space, because we know that down, around the town hall and around the church, people congregate. So if we are going to entertain a discussion around fireworks, I'd like to see some sort of a social distancing plan that would keep people safe. The other thing around that is maybe if committee could have a look at the programs that we aren't able to offer, and if there's any cost savings there that could be taken to put towards an allocation for fireworks? Because I think if we look at what we aren't able to roll out program-wise, which, I mean, we just can't, we have to close things down. So I'm wondering if we could find some savings there. So that could be a discussion. But I really do like the idea of doing that, especially where it's such a hard time for so many, to do something that would brighten up things for people. I like that idea. I just would really want to make sure that we're very careful about encouraging people to come out, you know, and getting together, which we don't want. And the other thing I think we need to think about is if we are going to take money to allocate towards something, is there something we could do on a smaller scale? Is there some of that money that we could allocate to other social distancing programming that might be beneficial around Canada Day for people? I'm not sure, but just some thoughts for you guys to have a discussion about, and then maybe bring some of those ideas back to council if you don't mind.
Yeah, we talked about it. We didn't want to just go shuffling around, you know, X thousands of dollars towards, you know, extra fireworks unless the whole council was on board, etc. And your comments are well taken in regards to social distancing. I mean, the whole point of the fireworks is the, you know, of course, it's physical distancing, not necessarily social distancing. And it's one of those cool things I think we can do as a community, particularly on July 1st. You know, everyone from their own porches or from their own vantage points, you know, everyone looking up at the same sky, at the same fireworks at the same time. I thought that would be a really good uniting type of thing. So, yeah, I agree, and we'll make sure that if and when council's on side to do that, we'll make sure that safety is paramount, of course.
All right, thanks. I think it's really important with Easter just having passed through to make sure we have those social distancing exercises like we've had. They were great. I loved what we did over Easter. So hopefully we can come up with some cool stuff like that too for Canada Day. Thank you.
You're welcome. Where was I to? Tuesday. Okay, Tuesday, April 7th. So we, I was there in attendance, as was Councillor Roach, Mayor Scott, CEO Chaplin, and Tina Acklenach-Ryan, our director. Things we talked about, basically got an update most recently on the virtual programs, namely the Easter egg hunt, some weekly activities suggested on our Facebook and Twitter, drawing classes, April online activities. Basically, staff's currently still working on this, or actively working on it. Participation. I always love that. The sharing app that provides suggested activities. So spring planning continues for Canada Day, day camp, softball, community garden, and all that. But of course, that's going to be modified. It's not going to be normal. Absolutely not. It doesn't seem to be that way. But we're just going to be planning. We're going to keep planning and see what we can do to deliver. And we'll make sure to update council and the public as those things roll out. And kind of in line with one of the things we talked about with the fireworks in the previous committee meeting. I do think that, you know, we've had state of emergency. We've had, of course, our medical state of emergency, and, you know, the world's kind of gone upside down with all types of stuff. I don't need to recount to everybody all the different changes. But one of the, I think, glaring things that we can do as a municipality, as a community going forward is around food security. And I really think that our community garden could be play a much more important, larger role in the town going forward. So basically, we've asked the committee to take a real close look at the community garden. I think there's a lot of potential there to really make a real positive difference in our community through our community garden. So just wanted to bring it up to council. So please, everyone, keep that in mind as we're going forward. Killing Coast Games is another thing that we talked about. Basically, we had received for DRCS, can never say that, updated the committee that she has been in contact with staff from Logan Bay and Middle Cove, Outer Cove, and that they haven't made any decisions about the games at the time of our meeting. Food First Grant NL, basically, committee was updated that in collaboration with staff from Rec and Community Services, an application has been made to Food First for funding for food hampers. who Land has agreed to partner and assist with this as needed. We talked about the Earth Day, April 22nd earlier. So that's another item we talked about. And also with Upper Three Corner, the engineers have been on site and have completed most of the electrical design and are working on geotechnical work for the new pole bases for the softball field. And we're hoping that the tender will be in early May and possible construction in June. We did have a community healthy living grant. We're in receipt of funding. That was $1,738, so that's really good. And also the rental agreement form for the recreation center. Again, it's been circling around for council. And again, this is a bit of a downtime for a lot of the things, but I think one of the things that we can do as a team is make sure that not if, but when the things get back to normal eventually, that we're ready to go with a really solid rental formal agreement that is accessible to the public and easy to understand and meets all our legal obligations. So hopefully we'll get some really good work done and we'll have a finished product, but when we're time to reopen everything, whatever that may be. Any questions on the second set of minutes?
Councillor Roach?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I was just wondering, like with the fireworks and the gathering and stuff, so I had this gathering on my other schedule there, but so I'll include it here now. Wouldn't it be, is there a set of rules for inside or outside different, like if you can gather or not in bulk, 5, 6 people at a time?
6 feet
Pardon?
is 6 feet. Whether 6 feet is 6 feet, whether you're inside or outside, doesn't matter. That's the physical distancing rule.
Okay, so we don't have to get approval then from the health commission or something like that for that? No?
No, I mean over the
No, I
course.
wouldn't think so. Again, the details can come out as we get closer to the dates.
Yeah.
The intention for having a community fireworks is not to have a public event where a bunch of people show up somewhere. It's just more of a tip the hat.
Oh, I know. I agree.
Use something we can enjoy with families while we still are at home, right? So I don't know if we gotta have multiple locations or something like that. I don't know any option, but the intent is not for a mass gathering.
Maybe we can have them and we'll just film them and put them on social media.
Social media, yes. Have them
So everybody
streaming.
can see them.
We'll
Thank you very much.
do a Zoom. We'll do a Zoom. A Zoom.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and that concludes the reports. Liaison committees, Atlantic Mayors Congress. We canceled our April meeting of Atlantic Mayors Congress in, I guess, late February when all the, or it might have been early March, when we started looking at a lot of closures and travel bans, and we felt, as a member of the executive of Atlantic Mayors Congress, we talked about it, and we decided at that point to go ahead and cancel it. We didn't want to, I didn't feel that it would be appropriate for me to be traveling to Nova Scotia in the midst of, and we knew that this was probably going to get worse. So anyway, I think we made the right decision. So we'll get back on track with that once all this COVID-19 stuff is over. Intergovernmental Affairs, Provincial, Municipal, I kind of gave an update on that in my mayor's report regards to meeting with the cities or the larger municipalities in our area and our regional partners. And as well, every 2 weeks, the regional meeting with with M&L. And I think that hopefully we're going to get a meeting maybe with some officials from Department of Municipal Affairs on our next M&L round of meetings. Jack Byrne Regional, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. There was some information that was provided by the staff at Jack Byrne today, and I did send it by email to members of council so they were aware. They were asked to provide an update of the current state of affairs with the Jack Byrne facility. And in a nutshell, there is some revenue loss because of the closures that are going to be in play. But right now, staff are proposing a strategy to mitigate those losses and to discuss, next steps where to from here. So I would expect now that there will be a meeting coming up. We do also have to discuss what we're going to do about an AGM because we aren't able to meet. That board is still in place and there hasn't been any changes. So I'm assuming that those discussions will be happening in the next little bit, but as things with COVID have been changing so quickly, we've just been trying, like everybody else, to keep ahead of it. So if anyone has any questions, by all means, feel free to reach out. But right now there is a plan that staff is proposing, and things are in a place right now where the board doesn't feel there's going to be any need to come back to the communities looking for anything at this point. And that's pretty much where we are.
All right, thank you. Northeast Avalon Joint Council, Councilor Thorngas.
I think Councilor Roach has a question.
We're not going to discuss that email that came from the Jackburn Arena today, if that's what you're going to ask questions about. Can you go ahead?
I was just going to make a suggestion that if they're not going to, with the conditions the way they are right now, why don't one of us make a motion that the current board stay on for an next long, so many months or whatever till that's straightened out?
We can't do that on our own. There's a management agreement in place that determines how the board gets picked and how long.
Okay, so why don't you go to the management and get it done like that? Thank you.
Okay.
Councilor Roach, what I can do is I can reach out to the chair and have a discussion with him about this and discuss next steps. That's not a problem. We can do that. Councilor Glant?
Yeah, just I guess just you guys said you haven't been able to meet. Is that right? That's the.
We haven't.
Is there? Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is there any obstacles to doing a virtual meeting, kind of like what we're doing here tonight, or like a lot of other organizations do? And
no.
If there is, I'm saying just I would say just help reach out to. I'm sure the Town of Troy Bay Resources could help assist you guys get up and going for any virtual meeting needs that you need.
Thank you for offering that. To be honest with you, we have been in contact via email, but we haven't had a discussion about next meetings or where to from there. And again, where everybody's just been dealing with COVID, we haven't had that discussion, but I will happily reach out to the chair and discuss this with him. And then we can reach out to the management board and have that conversation for sure.
Yeah, you just want to make sure you don't get in. Yeah, that's fine. You know what I mean? You don't make sure you don't go beyond anything you're supposed to go beyond.
No, and to be clear, our AGM happens in the spring normally, and we meet as a board quarterly as a regular schedule. So we're not beyond anywhere, other than normal at this point. It's not like we meet every 2 weeks like a council would do. But I can certainly bring those points back to the chair and have a discussion with him, and then we can certainly follow up on that. That's not a problem. Anyone else? Okay, I think we're good.
Yeah, thank you. Northeast Avalon Joint Council, Councilor Thorngas.
We didn't have a meeting of the committee as such, but we did have a Zoom committee meeting with Eastern Health, and we shared best practices that were happening with the various towns. And we've got another one scheduled for next Monday. I do believe that it is. That's it.
All right, thank you. Road of Flank Sever, there's nothing to update there. Torbay Volunteer Fire Department, Councillor Martin.
Thank you. Minutes are enclosed from a January 6, 2020 meeting. Given the current novel coronavirus situation, all semi-monthly meetings have been cancelled. I do want to take a moment, however, to send sincere thank you to all members that are still providing service to the communities of Torvay and Flatrock as they are putting themselves at risk, especially with medical calls, if they respond to any COVID calls. So I want to express sincere thanks to them, and we certainly appreciate all they do. And other than that, meetings are suspended until it's deemed safe to resume. Thank you.
All right, thank you. UMC, our next meeting is in May. And we're going to be discussing with the folks at M&L about potentially doing some kind of a meeting, a Zoom meeting, or some kind of virtual meeting instead of our regular get-together, which was supposed to be in Portabass. So I'll give an update on that when I get more information. No notices of motion. New business. Councillor Glenn.
Okay, I just want, ever since we got in, I got in council, it's 10 years ago now, or whatever it was. And I'm trying to say thanks at the end of every council meeting. I think it was one time I didn't do it, but I don't think I've ever meant it any more than when I'm, and then tonight, just, the world's turned upside down. A lot of different ways, and everyone on this call has bent over backwards to make sure that with the town operations still keep going as much as they can, try to keep some same degree of normalcy as best we can. And I know that some of the things that we've supported, social distancing, and really setting a good example for the whole community. I know they've had a really good impact, and we probably saved lives from our our actions and that we've been promoting within the town. So I just really want to say thanks to all of you on this call right now, on this meeting, and really want to say thanks to my family, my 5-year-old upstairs bouncing around, and my wife, and my mother-in-law who's been here for the last 4 weeks or whatever, kind of making it through together. And to my friends who I haven't seen, thanks a lot. Everyone's been really disciplined when it comes to the physical distancing, and I think the whole community. I'm really proud of you, and I want to thank each and every one of you for doing what you're doing, because like we said, this will be over at some point in time, and the more disciplined that we are right now, the sooner this will all be over, and we'll get back to some semblance of normalcy. So a big thank you to everyone out there.
Great, thank you. Well said. Councillor Thorngoss.
Just like to say a big thank you to all the staff, and especially our CAO and the mayor for keeping on top of all the communication with regards to the COVID-19. Going above and beyond, and all the work, which is totally a challenge every day, I'm sure, working from home and trying to keep everything moving. And that's basically it. To all the staff and fire department and everybody who's considered essential staff to making this world a better place right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Well said. Councillor Roach. Hang on. Peggy, you're not muted yet.
Hi. Hello.
Yes, go ahead, Peggy.
Oh, okay. Yes, I'd like to join my fellow councillors there, and I'm sure everybody feels the same, and yourself too, to thank everybody. And because I mean, if you really look at it, I mean, we're doing so good together, even though we're not together. in person, but we're trying to do wonderful things, and wonderful things are going to happen yet. But in the meantime now, and why I was asking about the getting together, the gathering, because even though we're really, I know how I am anyway, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, but some people think that it's all right to gather out on the, in the corners and stuff like that, and have a chat with their dogs and all that stuff and stay there for a while, or it could be by a fence post or whatever like that. And I mean, I've come across a couple of times people like that, and I wanted to say to them, you're not supposed to be together like that, but you can't do that to anybody, or should you? I don't know. But I just think that needs to be emphasized more, because even though you're out in the fresh air and everything, and I heard today now on there on the news, they said that the COVID virus can get on your dogs and your cats' fur. So, be careful about that too. You can get it from that way. But, that was on the radio or something. But anyway, so I just want to emphasize that, so that people can become more aware of it. When it says no gathering, it means no gathering, whether you're inside or out. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
Thank you. I will reiterate a lot of what my colleagues said, but I won't repeat it. Sincere thanks to everyone within our organisation, as well as I mentioned a few moments ago, the fire department, as all first responders and frontline workers. I do reiterate all the thanks that are shared around the table. So I'll yield my time briefly to remind everyone to, keep hopeful and things like that. And also to be cognizant of all the scams and cash grabs that are going on out there with regards to, the coronavirus things. A lot of people, unfortunately bring fear upon them. I know we probably all will at some point, but, when there's these people out there charging, $60 to $100 for hand sanitizer and things like that, it's really a time for a community to be grateful for one another and come together. Our retailers within the town are doing a great job, and I thank them for their service. But, Premier Jason Kenney even mentioned up in Alberta a couple of weeks ago, he said, there's a special place in hell for these people that are out gouging and scamming people and trying to take their money in such a volatile time. So, I remind everyone to be careful and cognizant of what they see out there and whatnot. And just all around thanks to everyone for their support for each other, and keep a distance from your neighbours, but be kind to them and check on them. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I've got to follow all the other councillors' lead on this one. If there's ever a time to be thankful, now is it. And, through this call, I think the first ones I want to say thank you to are my children. They're home here tonight, and they're trying to adjust to mom doing her council business from home. So they've come in, they've stuck in here or there, but for the most part, they've been very patient while we've been doing the business of council. So I'd like to thank them. It's an awful treat to tell you to be in isolation with the two of them. I got to tell you, I can handle that. I can handle that. That's good. I want to thank the residents. We have stayed pretty much on our property, and we've followed the guidelines and been very careful about that. But every now and again, we ventured up Bolleen Line for a walk. And it's been really nice to see that residents, when they see you coming or we see them coming, we'll cross the road to make sure there's a distance and a safe distance. And people have been very cognizant of protecting their bubble and also being cognizant of someone else's. So thank you to the residents who are being socially and physically responsible with their distancing. This is really important, and the virus does not move without us. And so, if we're responsible with what we're doing right now, hopefully we can get back to a normal sooner than later. I also would like to thank the businesses. A lot of our businesses have had to close, and that's a really hard decision to make. But it's a responsible decision to make sure that people aren't coming back and forth. We've also got businesses that have put in place very strict physical distancing guidelines, and they have done an amazing job of doing the best they can to ensure that residents who are coming for essential services are safe. So I want to thank them. To our fabulous Torbay Volunteer Fire Department, who are always on the ready, and I mean always on the ready, one of the best in the province. Thank you for your service, because you're on the front lines. All of our essential healthcare workers, thank you to you. I also wanted to take a minute just to thank MNL for the work that they're doing. Mayor Scott and I are board members with MNL, and we've participated in regional meetings. We've also recently participated in a board meeting, and it's been really eye-opening to see how that organization in time of crisis like this is there to bring people together and to have information that we can share. And I'd like to put a little shout out for the town of Torbay, because some of the work that our staff have put together has actually been shared by MNL and shared and adopted by many of the municipalities around the province. So thank you, and hats off to you. And that's where I guess I'll leave my thank yous right now. The last part is to the staff of Torbay. You have done amazing work. You've done amazing work, and we really appreciate you. And we always appreciate you. But I got to tell you, I appreciate everything that you do in time of crisis. And this year, boy, you guys have shown what you can do. So to my fellow councillors and to the staff of the town of Torbay, thank you. We're very appreciative of you. And that's it for me.
All right, thank you. That leaves me, I guess. I don't want to reiterate everything that everybody said, because you guys have pretty much covered all the bases. But, you know, it can't go unmentioned that our town has completely changed the way we operate in the last 30 days. We've gone from a place of normalcy to a place where you can't even get together with a couple of people to have a chat. We have to do everything through a technological means. And I think that the work that our staff has done over the last month in order for us to be able to even just have this meeting tonight has been monumental. And irregardless of all the day-to-day operations that are still happening at the town, that the staff is working from home and doing all this work, it's just amazing. One other thing I would like to talk about is, you know, I appreciate and I want to say thank you to the provincial government and federal government for your leadership during this, because that's who we look to as municipalities for the information that we need to be able to protect our residents. And everything that we're putting out, and I caution people to make sure that the information that you're getting is from a reliable source. And everything that's coming from the town of Torbay, you can be assured that it's coming from reliable sources of health experts. And we don't just make stuff up. One other thing I would like to mention, and that is that every day, I guess the most important highlight that everybody watches out for every day is at 2 o'clock when the government gives their update on the COVID-19 numbers. And anybody that's watched it knows that in our town and Luggy Bay, Middle Cove, Outer Cove, between us, we have 18 cases identified of COVID-19. Please do not be number 19 or cause somebody else to be that number. We have to keep up what we're doing right now with our social distancing and follow the rules and try our best. We would never, I mean, you can never blame somebody for catching a disease that's so contagious right now. But let us try our best to look out for ourselves and our families and our neighbors and our residents. And please take all the precautions necessary. If you must go out, practice social distancing, wash your hands, be careful. Because when all this stuff is over, we still want to be able to have all the same people around that are here now, and we'll all come through. And when they say that we're all in this together, there's no clearer message, because either you're going to infect me or I'm going to infect you, because you cannot get infected by accident. It happens because people are spreading this, and we need to be mindful, and we need to keep doing what we're doing. And our town is awesome, and our residents are great, and everybody seems to be following it, and our businesses are doing their best to try and help us, and everybody. And I want to thank council and the residents and whoever's watching. And all I want to say is take care, be careful, and hopefully when this is all over, we all get together and have a big beer or something, a big party. So with that, do we have any questions from the public, Don?
No, we don't.
Okay, so where's my glasses? I got to see. I can't see. My agenda. Oh, look at that. Our next public council meeting will be May 11th, 2020 at 6:30 through the same mechanism of Zoom as we're doing right now. That is the plan. And hopefully everything will be, it'll run. And I want to thank everybody. I think this meeting went really well. And I know it's not easy. We're all in different places, but that would be that. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn, please. Councillor Glenn, Deputy Mayor, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you, everybody. Be safe.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you.
guys.
Good night.